to actually determine when a quit notice is to be issued, I was given an example with a yearly tenant and a tenancy that is to expire, for example, by the 31st of December 2018. Now, if we have, in that case, the statutory quit notice must be issued latest by the 1st of July 2018. We say this bearing in mind that one, the quit notice has to be a 6-month quit notice, that is one. And we say that that quit notice must expire on the anniversary or the eve of the anniversary. And what we mean by that is this, that quit notice must expire at most by the 31st of December 2018. So if the 6 months is counted and it expires, for example, by January 5, 2019, that quit notice will not be valid. Not minding that it was 6 months in length. Let's bear that. Very, very important. In fact, that is where a lot of us get this wrong. A lot of people get it wrong. Then, apart from this too, we'll say that if there is anything that renders a quit notice not regular, honestly, it becomes a nullity. And what we mean by that is that it is as if a quit notice had not been served at all. And so any proceedings, anything done in court, anything done anywhere over that such a quit notice can never stand. And because it is bad from the beginning. And so it can never stand and it will never stand. That is for a quit or for the quit notice. Then the moment a quit notice is served, just as I said earlier in the course of this presentation, the tenancy is determined, is brought to an end. And that means that the relationship of a landlord and tenant will no longer be there after the expiry of the quit notice. And from that point onward, whatever the tenant is supposed to pay to the landlord will no longer be called rent. Neither will it be called any area of rent. It becomes a different thing. Probably I should say it before we get there. It will now be called immense profit. Immense profit. It will no longer be called rent. And that is because a relationship of a landlord and tenant or tenancy no longer exists between the parties. Now, at the expiry of the quit notice, the landlord can still not just approach the court to seek to recover possession of whatever premises he has given or property he has given out to the tenant. The landlord will still need, by law, to serve another notice we call notice of owner's intention to apply to recover possession, or simply called, some people simply call it a 7-day notice. Now, that 7-day notice is required to be served at the expiry of the quit notice. And what that 7-day notice is coming to say is that now I have served you, tenants, a quit notice. And at the end of that quit notice, at the expiry of that quit notice, you are still holding on to possession. You are still occupying my premises. And so I wish to inform you that I now want to approach the court to actually get my premises back from you. That is the essence of the 7-day notice. And so the law requires that the landlord cannot take any steps until at least 7 days after the 7 days notice has been served. In fact, that is where the notice derives its name, 7 days notice. And the landlord cannot do anything after 7 days. No proceeding can commence in court until after 7 days. Then bear in mind also that the same authority that is required in the case of quit notice, when a quit notice is not being served by the landlord himself or herself or itself, is also required for the 7 days notice. And so if an agent of the landlord is serving a 7-day notice, that agent of the landlord must have a written authority. I emphasize that. The authority must be a written one of the landlord. And that written authority must precede the service of both the quit notice and the 7 days notice. If it comes after, then it will invalidate proceedings. But another difference between the quit notice and the 7 days notice that I must point out here is that in the case of the 7 days notice, if the length of time between service and when proceedings commence in court is not up to 7 days, that does not automatically invalidate proceedings. Let's get that clearly. As long as the defendant, who in this case will be the tenant, as long as the tenant says, I am ready to concede with my rights over the fact that he did not get up to 7 days before proceedings commence, I waive my rights. If the landlord, if the defendant or the tenant waives his or her right, then the service will become valid and proceedings can commence as regularly as possible. Then, apart from that, the court can also adjourn. That is, if proceedings commence before the expiry of 7 days, the court can adjourn for that 7 days to lapse before the court will continue with the proceedings. The court can also do that. But if these 2 things are not done and proceedings proceed as if it has been regularly done, that proceedings will not stand at the end. So let's get the differences very, very or clearly. So that is as to the regularity and not or otherwise of the 7 days notice. Then, having discussed these notices, we now come to the services of the notices. Now, the law requires that the notices must be served personally by the landlord or his agent on the tenant. But if it becomes impossible, if there is anything that makes it impossible for personal service to be infected on the tenant, then the laws allow the landlord to go ahead and post these notices at conspicuous parts of the premises or the property. For example, if it's a premises, such notices can be posted conspicuously, probably on the door at the entrance. That would be a irregular act. And so let's bear that in mind. Even though it must be personal, alternatively, it can also be posted at a conspicuous part of the property, talking about the 2 notices. And when this is done, everything about the notices will be regular. Let's try and bear that in mind. Very, very important. That's one thing I mentioned in the course of our discussion that I wish to see bring up, and that is the issue of men's profit. Remember, I did say that the moment a quit notice is served and that quit notice is regular and it expires, then from that point when the quit notice expires, the tenancy relationship is determined, is brought to an end, is terminated. And so the landlord is no longer the landlord. It's no longer called the landlord. It's no longer regarded as the landlord. Neither is the tenant any longer regarded as the tenant, because a relationship of tenancy no longer exists between these 2 parties. And so if there is anything that the tenant needs to pay from that point, and the tenant becomes gets to owe the landlord from that point, that will no longer be referred to as rent, or neither will it be called any area of rent. The name given to such is men's profit. Men's profit. Very, very important also. Now, whether the landlord has served a quit notice or the 7 days notice, a lot of tenants think that the moment the tenancy is determined, that they are at liberty to pay rent, whatever it's called, whether rent or men's profit or not. That is not the position of the law. The position of the law is simply that anything that is being owed, as long as the tenant is still in occupation, to when the tenant is making payment, proceedings is brought to an end, and the case is disposed of, and the tenant is making payment, tenant will pay from everything that is owing up to that point. There is no law that says the moment a quit notice or the tenancy relationship is terminated, that the tenant is no longer under any obligation to pay what he pays as rent. That is not the correct position of the law. So let's bear that in mind. And each time